we go. Welcome party people. Let's get some tunes up in this joint. Let's pull up some screens. Welcome everybody. Nice to have you guys here and tuning in with me today. All right, guys, we are going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Thank you for joining. I'm going to get some tunes on here. We're going to give everybody just a minute or two to show up. Let's see what kind of jams we're going to play today. All right. Guys, just let me know if you're getting the tunes, okay? All right, well, we'll just get started a little sooner. I'll have to figure out how to get the tunes going through to the live stream. But for today, honestly, I'm just excited to get started and to unpack this with you guys, okay? All right. Guys, today I want to talk about two questions, okay? Two questions. Those questions are, is AI going to kill Search Atlas and other SEO companies? Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And is SEO dying? Okay, these are questions that I've been getting asked very frequently, and for good reason. The first reason is because this guy, Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, made this big proclamation that AI agents are going to destroy SaaS companies. And it's a little ironic because Obviously, Microsoft's a very important company. They are a big investor in OpenAI. I think they may be the largest shareholder of OpenAI, and they have a very powerful partnership and agreement with them, which is reciprocal in nature, and they get access to the source code of all of the OpenAI models. And so him coming out and saying this obviously sent shockwaves to the industry. But the question is he right? Is it actually true that AI is going to destroy SaaS companies? Now, as we unpack that question, I want to talk about some really basic, stupid things that AI coding assistants still just can't do. And this is a yet, because obviously what they're capable of is going to get better and evolve over time. But today, I think it's so lame that they can't automatically repair bugs and solve errors. We use a tool called Sentry, like most SaaS companies use something like Sentry, and it alerts us to when there are errors in our application. Even the simplest of errors cannot be self-patched and self-repaired. So before we can even talk about automating an entire SaaS company and building a SaaS application from the ground up, we got to be able to repair them. We can't even do that yet. We don't even have automated test case creation. I think we're going to see this in the next 2 quarters. We're going to see this happen. But Microsoft Copilot, they can't do it. GitHub Copilot, it can't do it. Even Cursor AI, it can't do it either. And so even in a language-specific environment, like for Python and Django, the framework Django, it's still not able to do that, even though the rules for how we architect those applications are well-defined. And probably it won't be so hard for us to get there, but we're not there yet. And so to make this statement that AI is going to destroy SaaS companies is absurd, honestly. We also can't create complex applications. I mean, if you're talking about a to-do list app or things that are very specific and simplified in nature, not complex workflows that require a lot of thinking and innovation and gluing together, not applications that require database layers and multiple microservices to work together or require data collection from third-party applications to warehouse, we're nowhere near close to being able to do that right now. And we're also not able to derive business logic. So business logic, a lot of people talk about what does business logic actually mean? Business logic is, what it means is something non-trivial, something that is unique to the business that requires some sort of an understanding of that business and how it functions, something about that tradecraft there a little bit. And the AI agents aren't really able to do that. So if you're talking about building a simple to-do list application or a website or something that is just very surface level and not very deep, it can do that, but it can't derive business logic. It can't learn and create business logic and then use that to build a complex application, at least not yet. And we're seeing now with O1 Pro that it's able to do reasoning and collect information from the internet and synthesize the information, but being able to actually analyze large pools of data and figure out how to use that to solve a customer issue, it's not actually a self-running system. Today, really, what these AI assistants are good at doing are, one, suggesting obvious coding completions. And I say obvious because they're using your inputs, they're using your variable names to figure out what you're doing, and they're able to help you finish your for loop or finish your block. So it does save developers time knowing they don't have to pencil in each and every dot and cross T. Those are done automatically. So that's useful. They're also good at explaining code and summarizing code, which is very useful. So if you're inheriting an old code base, this is actually a great way to fast forward that code base into the modern era of better documentation, better information, better usability, better comments. And so it's helpful in that way. And number 4, you'll see building documentation, documenting the code base, documenting the important modules that are being used. That it's good at doing. It can also help us refactor code, long, complex pieces of code. It can understand that that code can be condensed, variable names can be cleaned up. It's actually going to improve the code quality and make code more maintainable, right? But it's not actually designing entire systems from end to end. It is capable of spotting common errors, like obvious, somewhat obvious errors. It can spot them and it can identify them and correct them, help you correct them. But we're not talking about building Microsoft Word. We're not talking about building Microsoft Excel. We're not talking about building Search Atlas, okay? So he was showboating, simply put. The other piece that's important is that SaaS applications My favorite B2B SaaS applications, to be specific, are those that have a lot of tradecraft, a lot of proprietary business logic, right? Imagine an AI creating ChatGPT, creating that really innovative technology based on research, right? It was non-obvious. It wasn't obvious how ChatGPT or Microsoft Word or Search Atlas, how all this stuff is going to work. It wasn't exactly obvious. It required a practitioner who's been in the field and put in their thousands and thousands of hours of understanding how stuff works, and most importantly, testing it to build complex and proprietary business logic. This is what I call tradecraft. It's tradecraft if it doesn't exist in the public sphere. If the entire roadmap to get to an answer exists on Google, exists on public accessible blogs, right? That's common knowledge. But tradecraft actually does not exist in the public sphere. It has to be learned hands-on. That's why we call it specific knowledge, because that knowledge has to be gained as a practitioner. And what's important is that the answers can change over time. The way that things can work, the way that you optimize things will also change over time. And so for the AI systems to be able to create this stuff, they're nowhere near being able to do that today. However, what I will say is that they are very helpful when it comes to building things faster and helpful designing systems in a more holistic way and figuring out how to scope them, how to engage them. What we're seeing is using these AI tools with our engineering team, we were able to get a 30% improvement in velocity. So let's take an example like auto PPC, for example, which a lot of people are really, really excited about. We've gotten a lot of people pumped to use this tool. In order to build auto PPC, let's just think about what you would need to know in order to create it. You would need to understand, number one, bidding strategies on Google. And I'm not talking about the obvious stuff, the stuff that Google tells you in the Google Ads documentation. I'm talking about knowledge from firsthand, running campaigns with specific types of businesses, with specific types of keywords, to have that hands-on, real-life knowledge that comes from years and years of doing it, right? Knowing that it's often better to bid to position 3 or position 4, right? Instead of bidding or letting Google decide your bidding strategy, right? Who would have thunk it? Google's not certainly going to tell you, hey guys, the best thing you could do is to bid to position 3 or 4, because if they did and everyone was targeting that bid, they wouldn't have a bid inflation, which is what their engine is designed to do. Where's the boo sound? Yeah, they want us to inflate the CPCs, which is why smart bidding is actually not that smart, okay? Smart bidding is not that smart. So to build this product, you'd actually have to know that bidding to position 3 or 4 is often the best way to get the highest ROI. You'll get probably more conversions for the same amount of spend. Oftentimes we've seen that that's how it works. And then also to create this logic, we have to actually connect to Google, connect to the API, send the campaign modules, send the data to them in batches. And there are rate limits. And those rate limits you have to respect, otherwise you'll get blocked from the API. So when you start to do the math on this, you really start to be sensible in this. You realize to build automated software, an AI agent that's going to do this and repair this and fix this, you realize this is a lot of reasoning. It's a lot of complex hands-on that's well beyond the capabilities of where the technology is today for AI and coding, okay? Now, by the way, quick aside on this auto PPC is actually going to be released very soon. We've got people who are joining the waitlist. If you're interested in being on that waitlist, let us know, because we are actually going to be onboarding people for that next week and bringing them into auto PPC so that they can use the technology and start piloting it on their customers. So if you're an SEO and you want to get into the paid search side to be full channel, you can do that. If you're a brand and you want to activate the PPC channel and you want to create a lot of high quality ad campaigns without doing a lot of work or a lot of research, this could be a really, really nice way for you guys to launch that and level up your campaigns, okay? So the next topic I want to talk about, and this is one that's really important because a lot of people ask me about this. They say Manick, I don't know if I should be investing in SEO because SEO is dead, or maybe it's dying. And I just laugh. I have to laugh about this because it is just so absurd, right? It is so absolutely absurd that someone would say that SEO is dead. Because when you really understand traffic that is coming to a business, to a brand, you'll understand there's really two kinds of traffic. There's earned media and paid media. Earned media is the media that you get, right, without having to pay for it. It's something that your brand has deserved and earned, that your customers are, because your customers know about you and they know about your product, and they're going to come to you and they're going to use your product because you've built up the brand recognition in the industry. People are talking about you. You're getting free media attention in video, on blogs, on websites, and that's earned media, okay? And then paid media is really where you're renting the traffic, where it's not yours. You're buying that audience from someone else. Okay, so that's paid media. And I have seen, guys, because Search Atlas and Link Graph, our agency Link Graph, we literally work with hundreds of large brands, hundreds of them. And I can tell you something right now, which is that in virtually every single large business that we have ever seen, and by large, I mean greater than 5 million of revenue, okay? The lion's share of that business's traffic does not come from paid media, okay? It comes from earned media. And earned media is basically the eyeballs of people performing search and looking online. It's going to your brand site directly, like the branded traffic that you're getting. All of that is earned media. And obviously, not all channels are going to function in a paid capacity. Google, as a search engine trying to satisfy users' informational needs, is going to have an organic component to its results, right? Because if the only way you were able to find information was brands that were paying for it, it wouldn't really be a very high quality search engine now, would it? So there will always be earned media. We're never going to exist in a world without it. And so as long as there's earned media, there is SEO. Let's take a real world example. Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster is a really interesting company. A lot of people say it's the biggest ticketing company. Guess what? They're wrong, because the biggest ticketing company is actually Google. Can you believe that? Google is the biggest ticketing company because Google owns every click that comes through Google's ad engine to the Ticketmaster website. They're taking, I would estimate 50 to 60% of the margin in this industry. They're extracting it out. Most people, when they go to buy tickets to an event, they're going to Google itself. They go to Google to figure out where to buy their tickets, and then they find the website, they click forward, and then they buy their tickets. A lot of people, especially in the ticketing context, don't distinguish and they don't understand the difference between sponsored and organic, and they'll click on whatever result seems to land for them. A lot of times it's the sponsored results, and every time they generate a sale through the sponsored links, they are paying out a massive percentage of their margin. And I know this because my first tech company was in this industry. We actually saw people running ads and losing money just to get the click. They would actually lose money on the conversion because they were just trying to get the maximum amount of revenue, because in the public markets, when they're running valuations, they're often just using the top line revenue. And so if you could add another $10 million of your top line revenue, as a company like this, you could increase your valuation by $100 million, which is a shit ton of money. And so a lot of companies like Ticketmaster would pay a ton of money for those sponsored ads. But they understood that the demand for ticket inventory happens through Google. That business, actually, the way that this works for them is that they are massively driven by SEO. Massive. Same is true with StubHub. Without SEO, these companies just wouldn't exist. And fundamentally, people, they're going to be looking for their tickets. They're going to find the website to buy them through whichever search channel that is, but they're going to end up in the same place. And that's Ticketmaster, or that's StubHub. It's one of those brands, okay? Depending on which one ranks better, which one has inventory, that's the one they're going to go to. So Ticketmaster, when you look at their business, 60% or more of the revenue is actually earned media. It is organic SEO, okay? And if you look at large publicly traded companies and you look at their traffic distribution by channel, you will often see this exact same story, which is that the lion's share of their traffic comes through search, and it is organic or it is branded, okay? But it's going through search. The second thing I want to say about this is that the search user behavior, that thing we do when we're looking for information, yeah, that's not going to go away. People will always be searching for information. And whether it's through Google or YouTube or Amazon or whichever platform it might be, the fundamental thing that we do, which is entering queries online to find information and products, that's going to stay the same, right? So SEO is this idea that we're going to optimize for search, whether that is on Google or whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on a large language model, there will always be a need for it. And so the SEO game is not dying, and it will never die, because as long as there's earned media, we will have a ranking system for being discovered in search, and there will be a need and a value to being discovered more highly. And that is what the whole idea of SEO is all about. It's also about crafting your narrative and your story in a format that people can ingest it and consume it, okay? So SEO, again, not going anywhere. Some people might have seen this movie, Minority Report, Tom Cruise. And if you even think about this future scenario where he's immersed in this super interactive, highly futuristic application where he's basically browsing through information, guess what? That's still search. That is still SEO. He's still finding the information he needs. So whatever that interface ends up being, whether it's Neuralink, whether it's some new display of information, there's always going to be a need to present information in a context around search. And that I do not believe is going to ever change. The thing that is important to talk about here about why people have been saying SEO is dying is that there's a big difference between the practitioners of SEO and their knowledge base and their knowledge level. There's some that practice holistic SEO and some practice narrow SEO. So the thing about narrow SEO is it's people building these paper-thin affiliate websites, these sites that have no real brand signal. They're not doing real SEO. They're building AI content, throwing it up on a website, and they really haven't invested so much into those brands. They're not real brands. And so that's narrow SEO. And so I would say we are looking at the death of non-holistic SEO methodologies, of non-brand driven methodologies. If you're not building a brand, you're building something that's not really worth anything online. And one of the ways in this post-HCU world, I'll actually get to that, in the post-HCU world, is they're looking at the brand signals. They're looking for the business's presence online, okay? If your business, and I'm just gonna get full in here, if your business does not actually have a real presence online and it doesn't actually get user signals to it, if you don't have that user behavior coming and Google's not able to measure it, you will see those sites were penalized. They started to drop. And this was the way that Google was basically trying to remove the low quality affiliate sites that used AI content spam to get their rankings. What they're interested in are sites that have real enduring value besides the SEO driven content they created. They want to find real brands that people are familiar with and they know about. And so in this future of SEO world, we need to be focusing on building the brand signal and building the authority, okay? I do think there's going to be a retraction from topical dominance. I do think there will be changes to that as it gets more easily exploited by us and by other people. There will be big changes that come there. And you guys will see that these signals will become even more heavily relied upon. The next thing that we've noticed, and this has been true for all time, is that zero-click search on Google is always increasing. It's not going down. It's going up all the time. Zero-click search is the idea that someone will go to Google, type something in, and not actually need to click to a website to get the information they were looking for, okay? That has always been rising. And the other thing that's been rising is the amount of traffic that the paid ads are getting. Google is always trying to run A/B tests where there are more clicks coming to the paid ads. And the reason for that is that that's how they make money, okay? We're gonna see very little change to the paid ad auctions. We're not gonna see a lot of UI changes there because that's where Google makes their money. The biggest change to happen in ads is adding another ad above the fold, getting 4 ad spots above the fold. That's the biggest innovation Google came up with on the ad side. I think that's hilarious. It's the biggest innovation because it made them more money. And I honestly wish I had the thought like when I saw that and they added more paid ad units above the fold, to buy the stock, because it was obvious that adding more of those paid ad units was going to improve their revenue. And that's what they're optimizing for. So let's remember that. So what's the best thing that we got from that traffic? So this is intrinsically informational traffic. What's the best thing we got from it? Actually, the best thing we got from it was the ability to retarget those people, right? What we see, and this is from working on hundreds of customer accounts in a range of industries, is that the conversion rate on retargeted traffic is anywhere between 2 to 5 times what it is from non-retargeted traffic. For us, it's 4 times. It's 4x higher. So being able to retarget those people with ads was one of the best things that we were able to get from that informational traffic. And yes, it's kind of sad that we're not going to see as much of that in the future. Yeah, of course, we wanted as much of that as we could get. But you know what? It's okay. It's honestly okay, because I bet we're going to be able to get way more from the search engines with the innovation that's coming with what we're doing with Search Atlas. And so even if we lose that benefit, there are new benefits that we're gaining with AI and digital marketing innovations. What was the worst thing about that informational traffic? The worst thing about that informational traffic is that it's now 0 click, and that publishers, they built a business on it. They were running AdSense, they were making money from their ads, that some people actually thought that traffic was going to convert for them. Now, the thing is, having looked at now hundreds and hundreds of customer blogs, what I normally see is the conversion rate on those blogs is like 0.1%. Go into your Google Analytics, look at your /blog folder, and tell me what the conversion rate is on that content. You're probably going to find that it's not very good, because very few people actually took the time to add CTAs into their content and CTAs into the sidebar, or pop-ups, like interstitials pop-ups or exit intent pop-ups, to actually get a higher conversion rate from that traffic. Very few people actually did that. But the ones that did it, and we do it, right? So we actually are able to get value from our blog and our content. But nevertheless, the 0 click search phenomenon, that's always going to keep increasing. And so my best hedge for this is to diversify away from informational search. It's pretty simple. And to not just look at AI content engineering as something we do to create articles, but something that we do to create web pages and documents online, okay? We have to move away from this idea of just AI generating blog articles all the time and move into this new frontier of building HTML landing pages and web pages that are more than just blog pages, okay? The other thing I want to talk about is what I call the big who cares, okay? And that's voice search. I call it the big who cares. Why do I call it the big who cares? Because people are actually thinking that voice search is going to, like some people think it's going to radically change SEO. I disagree with them. Intrinsically, if you actually look at how the code works, voice search, you know what actually happens? They take your input question, whatever it is that you provided, your long-winded query, and they plug that into the search engine as if it was a text input that you typed into your keyboard into Google search. So fundamentally, voice search is just long-tail keyword search. It's people typing in a long query into the search engine and searching for it. And so people thinking that voice search is how we should start optimizing, I think it's wrong. All we're really doing is we're optimizing for long-tail keywords and queries. And we're going to see more long-tail keywords, right, as voice search becomes a greater phenomenon. But remember that it is just long-tail search. It's conversational. Some people say, hey, it's conversational. It's people being more conversational with the way they search than the way they type. Some of those are just semantics, but the informational demand fundamentally, I believe, is the same. It's just become more specific. And with that greater specificity, there's a greater value in going long tail and specific with our topicality and our content, which is something that we've been talking about for a long time. Okay. But I want to talk about the real threat now, guys. What is the real threat? Where's my Gangster's Paradise anthem here? I don't know if you guys are able to hear the music, whether it's just for me, but whichever way it is, we're going to play it right there. You guys hear that Gangster's Paradise anthem? Okay. The real threat is Fuddruckers. There, I said it. Fuddruckers is the real threat. I'm just kidding. This is actually from the movie Idiocracy. How many of you guys have seen this movie? Okay. This movie is absolutely hilarious. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend this weekend as you guys step away and you go home and you figure out what you're going to watch tonight or this weekend, watch Idiocracy. Because honestly, what they're saying is exactly like the message of the movie is actually happening. It's basically a dumbification of the population. The attention spans are just decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. And so what I really mean when I say the real threat is the attention spans decreasing and our population getting dumber is that people are going to have a harder time consuming written content. And it's going to push them into video content where they can look at a person, they can hear the information presented. There's some visual cues so that they can understand what's going on. But that is, I think, going to be the changing frontier of search, where we see more people search on YouTube. Already YouTube, we know that it is the second largest search engine out there, right? The second largest search engine is YouTube. And so one of the key themes of what we need to be thinking about is optimizing for SEO that includes YouTube, because people, as the attention spans decline, they are going to be looking increasingly to find their answers through video. And so figuring out also, how do we take this content that we're creating that we know people are looking for, and how do we create an authentic video version of this information so we can get in front of the people who have the shorter attention spans or who want a different content format. That is what video is going to be for. And I think that it's the panacea for what is happening with the way that the search population is going, okay? A lot of this can be validated if you read Google's financial reports. If you look at the one that was published, their 10Q, and you read it, what you'll actually see is that the economic health of the search engine is very, very healthy. It's very good. There are more search queries being performed, not fewer. And the total amount of search queries on YouTube is actually increasing and outpacing organic search on Google. So more people are looking for the video content than they are on regular search. We're also seeing in our data set of the 5 billion keywords, we're seeing more YouTube videos appear. Now, we're not sure if that's because people are publishing more videos and there are more relevant videos now for different queries, or is it the search engine acknowledging the demographic shift in the population, looking for multimedia content that's more, I guess, easier to consume with less brain drain. They just want to be taught the information with a visual and a person, like they're in a classroom. So I don't know whether that's a reflection of more content being published that answers that search demand, or is it Google consciously putting more YouTube into the search results? I guess we'll see. We'll see how that goes over time. Okay, guys, well, today that is what I wanted to cover. Those are the two key topics. Let me know, does anyone have any questions? I'm just going to check the chat and see what you guys reacted to in here. Motofish says, President Dwayne Elizado Mountain Dew Camacho. Yeah, exactly. That's basically the president of the United States in Idiocracy. And it's hilarious. So the premise of the movie, guys, if you haven't seen it, is, I forget the actor's name. Motofish, do you remember what his name is? He gets, like, he's a part of like an army experiment. He ends up inside a capsule that becomes kind of like a time capsule, and he basically goes to sleep for hundreds and hundreds of years. And when he wakes up, the world has changed. It has evolved, and Fuddruckers is now called Butt Fuckers. There, I said it. And and a lot of things have changed. People are really dumb, and the smartest person alive is this wrestler. Yeah, that is with Owen Wilson. It's Luke Wilson. Luke Wilson. And so he wakes up and he is the smartest person in the world. And obviously he was not the smartest guy like before this happened, but he became the smartest man in the world. And so the president is like, holy shit, you're the smartest man in the world. You should be president. You should tell us what to do. And it is a hilarious, hilarious movie. I think way ahead of its time. And I'll leave you guys with that recommendation for the weekend. So good. Yeah, Fuddruckers, burgers. Let's go back to that slide. I think it's a good one. Let's check this out. So Fuddruckers becomes Futbuckers, becomes Buttruckers, becomes, well, you can see. It's pretty good. So good. And that happened over the course of almost 420 or 430 years. Could happen to us. Could happen to you. Awesome, Letha. It's such a good movie. Tell me what you think. Awesome, guys. Well, I hope you guys can take some comfort in this and knowing that the future of SEO, it really is bright. And I think that for people who are taking this automation focused mindset and using AI in the most innovative ways possible, we're going to be way ahead of the curve. Right now, I want to talk to you guys about a product that we're building. It's called Knowledge Networks. And what this product essentially is doing is it's taking the central keyword, like the primary keyword or keywords that this business is trying to rank for, and essentially figures out the entire encyclopedia of knowledge that would be that thing. If you wrote a book about everything that you would need to know about whatever that is, whether it's like ski rentals or herbal teas or mushroom coffee, it is capable of figuring out how do we build multiple topical maps and construct a collection of these topical maps to build what we're calling a knowledge network. And then using the brand's voice, using the brand's source, what we call source context, right, in the semantic SEO world, we are able to actually create content written from the perspective of that brand, starting with building content briefs, ending with creating fully generated documents. And those documents can be web pages, they can be articles, it can really be anything, but it's meant to be a product that is not just cranking out blogs, but really cranking out entire web pages and landing pages that are meant to be converted on or to be purchased on in the e-commerce context or informational, right? And so the way that we've been able to build this is through creating component libraries of thousands of components, the building blocks of websites. And from those components and from the content brief, we're able to take the two concepts together and say, for this particular keyword and all the query networks that lead people to this keyword, essentially the query networks are related keywords, longer expressions of the keywords, could also be synonyms of the same keyword, will lead them to that page. Essentially, we're synthesizing the final web page that incorporates all those query networks, along with the entities, along with the factuality, along with the questions, along with the images, along with the videos, along with the sound. Ooh, what's sound? Basically a sound, a verbal explanation of the video content. Remember what I was talking about the dumbification of the population? Well, sometimes people just want to consume the audio version, right? They don't want to read it. Some people prefer audiobooks. I actually often prefer audiobooks because, my hands are free. So it's not necessarily that because they're dumber. Sometimes it's just because that's easier for them to consume. And so in any event, and we're building this product, we're creating those multimedia experiences for the web pages. So I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be really powerful. I know it's going to be really powerful, and I think it's going to allow us to do the work that we meant to do with auto SEO. Auto SEO is built to take websites and to create a guaranteed pop in optimizing what's on them. But the one thing that we didn't do enough of with auto SEO is to create new pages. What if your site only has one page, right? What we're going to do now, bringing knowledge networks into auto SEO, is to expand that website and to make it create new content to help satisfy different types of search demand, different types of people that are relevant to that brand, to that website. I've seen too many people create just crap articles that are able to get ranked, but they're not relevant to the business. That's called topical signal dilution. I see this stuff happening in the SEO community, and I think that this is going to be a great solution because it's going to give us one plan for a website, not 10, not different people putting their pieces together, but one cohesive content roadmap and strategy forever. And we can keep elaborating on it, but fundamentally, each website should only have one content roadmap that we build inside, so we don't duplicate content, And so we have the right content and we don't dilute the topical signals of the site. Okay. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be awesome. And we're going to be dog fooding it on ourselves first. And so when you look at our traffic, which I hope you do, you'll see that our traffic is crushing it. Google SEO automation, we're like page 1. I think we're like position 3, position 4. Automated SEO platform, automatic SEO platform. We're like top 1, 2, 3 for all those keywords. So guys, trust me, the power of the stuff, it is very real and it works, and we dog food it for ourselves. So very exciting. All right. This week in Hearthstone, I need to get on the wait list. I'm assuming that's for auto PPC. Totally, we can get you on there, my friend. And I would just let Fidan know and she will pop you into that queue, okay? Aletha, thank you for the kind words there. A nice break from the SEOing this week. And just trying to make it fun, trying to make it entertaining. A lot of people excited about auto PPC. Okay, and we got a good question here from Millennial Money Mom. Millennial Money Mom asks, wow, that's a lot of alliteration there. What's the difference between a topical map and blog? That's actually a really good question. So a blog is really where all of our content lives. And to be more specific, a blog is where all of the articles on our website live, right? A topical map doesn't distinguish between whether it should be an article or whether it should be a landing page. A topical map is essentially a visual framework to figure out all the topics that we need to cover on our website, whether those are web pages, whether those are product pages, whether those are comparison pages, whether those are review guides or top 10 listicles, right? Lots and lots of different content formats can exist inside a topical map. However, usually inside a blog, we only see one content format, and that's the article format. So, it can vary, but we don't really build web pages inside blogs. That's just not how blogs work. But a lot of people, I think today, when they think about topical maps, they would basically connect all the content out of the topical map into the blog. And I'm here to say that that needs to change, okay? And it will change. We're going to make it change. Because the truth of the matter is, these big walls of text that I see ranking sometimes on Google, that's not going to work forever. We need to be creating better experiences, more immersive experiences that resonate with the searchers, that are more humanized. And walls of text are just not always that friendly to read through. Believe it, love it. Sounds like SEO heaven where there are no, but you can read it, restaurants. Love it. Guys, super fun to see you guys on this Thursday evening here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been super fun. And stay tuned. We're going to be doing some big product announcements and launches coming up. I'm giving the team just a little bit of a reprieve in January from the 12 Days of Search Atlas. But there are a lot of new products coming. We've got JavaScript rendering coming. We launched auto server-side rendering. I have not done a segment on that, and I promise you I will. We've also launched a couple other products. I think in auto, we got Wildfire, which if you didn't see the webinar on that, check that out. We've got some big changes coming to Wildfire to make it even more powerful. And some mechanical changes as well, which I'm going to announce probably in about 2 weeks from now. And then, of course, auto PPC. So stay tuned, my friends, and I will see you guys again soon. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, pop them into the Facebook group, send them my way. Happy to help, and have an awesome, awesome weekend. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.